What's up, everybody? Do you say Happy Black Friday? I don't know if Happy Black Friday is a thing, but what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you got to spend some time with your families yesterday. As you know, I did not go live as news kept on breaking because I just didn't want to. So like the video as the intro plays because we got a lot to get into.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. I want to make it make one.
Big moves.
Surfer.
Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
I remember when Candy Hair used to look like this. I fly above. I fly above. I fly. No, that want you? No, I fly above.
Okay, y'all. So just as a reference point, because we got to clear up a few things. Y'all heard that Wale was the rapper that Diddy had allegedly held out of the window. Y'all remember that?
When I was man, DJ, give me the thing, man. I'm loved now, y'all. So back in the day, somebody may got thrown out the window for that shit, but not no more. I just handle it with grace. Yeah, so.
He's loved now, y'all. So Wale has denied these claims. It says, sorry, y'all. Wale was not the rapper allegedly hung over the balcony by Diddy. Amid the aftermath of the settlement in Cassie's lawsuit, many people online are still reeling at some of the harrowing details. So what happened was this guy got online and said that he actually saw Wale, who had allegedly talked to Cassie. Diddy approached him and held him out a window. Wale's denying them. I don't even know at this point. It could be true, and Wale just doesn't want to look like the person who allowed Diddy to have him held. Who knows at this point? But I just wanted you guys to know, since I had told you a couple days ago that somebody said Wale got held out the window. This video, guys, definitely is about to go a little triggering. So if any of this kind of news affects you in a way, I get it. This is not the video for you, but we are about to get into some abuse allegations, including Aaron Hall. Now, because Aaron Hall is the second one. That was the last one filed. If you don't know Aaron Hall, he's a singer from the 90s. He had some major hits in a major group, worked with Heavy D. Here's the thing, though, y'all. When we get into Aaron Hall and his allegations, Aaron is a individual who has a darker complexion and continuously lets people know he is well endowed, we'll say. Kind of sounds like what set the tone for what Diddy is into with Cassie's white fingernails, if you catch my drift. Aaron Hall is a dark-complected man who claims to be well endowed. Cassie said specifically that Diddy made her hire male escorts that were dark-complected and well endowed. And at this point, I cannot show you, but I know of one of the people. And they did a little work for Sean John, allegedly. I'll say that much, allegedly. Just, but I cannot give you guys the name and stuff like that, but I have seen with my own eyes this person, and they also fit the type. So I want you guys to think about this. If Aaron is saying things, and we'll get into this in the second lawsuit, about how Diddy watched him do things allegedly to women, and he's dark-skinned, and well-endowed, things typically start from somewhere, y'all. Things typically start from somewhere. And at that point, Aaron was the larger celebrity. And I think Diddy was like a promoter and stuff like that. So, no, it's not Tyson. It's not Tyson. But this person also fits the mold and had been saying this since 2013. Crazy. It is so crazy. But anyway, let's get into the first one. Guys, we got like 800 people in here. Definitely hit that like button. It's a free way to support the channel. They have been, kind of like demonetizing my videos, I guess, maybe because of the subject matter, but I'm still gonna bring you guys this content because I told you that I would keep up with it. Brother Love is not getting away with nothing, allegedly. Okay, so let's start with this one. We're gonna start with the Joy Dickerson. Share this tab and then take Brother Love off the screen. Okay. Joy Dickerson was a college student at Syracuse University, pursuing a degree in psychology and filled with hopes for a bright future. While Ms. Dickerson did not come from a family with means, she was raised by a single mother who instilled in her high moral and ethical standards and a strong sense of civic duty. She was whip smart, beautiful, and aware that her good reputation was an important asset to be safeguarded. On January 3rd, 1991, while on a school break for the holidays, Ms. Dickerson reluctantly agreed to an early dinner with Sean Combs or P. Diddy. They had many friends and acquaintances in common, and she had appeared with Combs in a few clips of music video. After dining at the famous Wells restaurant in Harlem, home of the chicken and waffles since 1938. Really? Somebody tell me, is that restaurant still there? And did they really invent chicken and waffles? Because I gotta check that out. Combs pushed Miss Wells to keep him company as he attended to a few things in the city. Getting into Combs' car that day forever. During the date, Combs had intentionally drugged Miss Dickerson, resulting in her being in a physical state where she could not independently stand or walk. Driving first to a music studio where she could not get out of the car, Combs proceeded to a place he was staying to assault her. As was his practice, but unbeknownst to Ms. Dickerson, Combs video recorded the assault. Days later, a male friend revealed to her that he had viewed the tape along with other men. Horrified, Ms. Dickerson asked how many others saw it, to which he responded, everyone. Ms. Dickerson's life went into a tailspin. She returned to college, but soon had to be admitted into the hospital for severe depression and thoughts of unaliving herself. Unable to function, she dropped out of college. Ms. Dickerson has struggled with her mental health and career progression thereafter. The assault and public exposure of it caused her to suffer overwhelming feelings of humiliation, embarrassment, violation, and constant apprehension about who viewed it. As Combs' success and wealth rose quickly, she tried to block his existence out. Oh man, they have a typo in this. Who's a lawyer? Existent out as she tried to put her life back on track. Still today, Ms. Dickerson continues to work on her emotional health, economic recovery, and finishing her college degree. Seeking accountability from Combs under the law is one more step to that journey. So let me let you see. She's just suing Puffy, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, and Combs Enterprises. We've now gone over quite a few of these where they have sued everybody, the label. So she's suing fewer people in comparison. Let's see. Oh, wow. We got like 1,300 people in here. Please hit that like button. Like I said, they've been demonetizing these videos, so it's a way to support the channel. Procedural requirements. It's about the New York Survivors Act, which we have gone over. It allowed people beginning on November 24, 2022, in 1 year, if they were over the age of 18 when the assault happened, they could come forward. So we're not going to read all the penal codes. Courts have found that ASA revives any civil claims that arise from conduct that constitutes a offense. Thus, the plaintiff's claims under the New York Common Law, the New York Services for Victims of Human Trafficking Law, the New York State Revenge P, because we're going to get into that. She's alleging that there is revenge P in this situation. What's up, Amused? I see you in here, Aaron. I see you guys coming in. Astute, Natasha. Wow, some of my like day ones. Good morning, y'all. Not the best way to, but this is what's out there, and I told you guys that I would, keep you posted. Revenge P. Gender motivated violence act. Okay, so here are parties. Defendant Combs. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, or Puff Daddy, or Diddy is a Grammy Award-winning musician. At all relevant times, Combs was resident in New York State. Prior to the release of Combs' debut album in 1997, Combs was a prominent member of the New York hip-hop community. 1990 to 1993, Combs was working as a talent director at Uptown Records. Now, the next one that we're about to go over, she's actually suing Uptown Records as well. Combs also known for throwing parties that attracted thousands of attendees, including those of the hip-hop world. He founded Bad Boy Records. 2008, Combs was the first rapper to get a star on the Walk of Fame. In 2022, Forbes estimated Combs was worth $1 billion. Upon information and belief, Combs has a history of committing physical and violence against women as documented in publicly available lawsuits and extensive media coverage. On May 8, 2017, Cindy Rueda Combs, personal chef, filed a lawsuit in Superior Court of the state of California for the county of Los Angeles, alleging that he harassed her. In 2019, Gina, Huen, an ex-girlfriend of Combs, detailed in an interview how he abused her. And that was a Tasha K interview. I think they probably chose to leave that out, but okay. November 16th, Cassie Ventura, an artist signed on the Bad Boy Records, filed a suit in the Southern District of New York, alleging that Combs forced her to film herself having with a sex worker. Given the extensive media coverage of Combs' abusive treatment of women, Defendants Bad Boy Records, Combs Enterprises LLC had knowledge and were put on the notice of the abuse allegations made against him. In 1992, Combs founded Bad Boy Records, a record label which had sold over 500 million records. Now, they sold over 500 million records, but everybody on Bad Boy outside of Puffy is broke. You do the math. Or they're no longer with us. Allegedly broke. Y'all do the math. Combs Enterprise LLC is a domestic liability company. Factual allegations. Plaintiff grew up in New York and was raised by a single mother. In 1987, plaintiff began attending Syracuse University. As she was inspired to attend her after hearing stories about her late father, who had attended the university and had passed away the same year she was born, plaintiff majored in psychology. Plaintiff was a hardworking student who balanced her studies while also working as a server at Wells Restaurant in Harlem, New York, to pay for her education. Okay, so she worked there as well. Plaintiff was looking to make a foothold in the music industry and had worked as a receptionist at Apple One, a renowned talent agency, and as a location scout for Gary Brewer, an industry cameraman. Plaintiff also collaborated with Chuck Stone, a film director, on music videos for Grammy Award-winning artists like A Tribe Called Quest and Masele. I can't pronounce the last name. Plaintiff met Sean Combs and learned of his reputation for abusing women. On repeated occasions, Combs pursued plaintiff for a romantic relationship. However, plaintiff had heard that Combs had a history of treating women badly and rejected Combs' advances each time. In fact, Sister Soldier, a rapper from the Bronx, pointedly asked plaintiff why she and Combs had been featured together in the music video Straight from the Soul by Finesse and Sinquest. Plaintiff understood that Sister Soldier was warning her to stay away from Combs, given his infamous reputation. Finally, on January 3rd, 1991, during her winter break, now I would be interested to know if this does go to trial because she wants this to go to trial. Woo, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. She wants this to go to trial. Does that mean that Sister Soldier will be pulled in? And if so, it sounds like this lady has her ducks in the row. So I wouldn't be surprised if she has already reached out because there's more, famous people included in this complaint. If she's already reached out for these character witnesses. Finally, okay. Again, wary of being alone with Miss Combs, with Combs, plaintiff, not Miss Combs. Somebody said Superhead gonna sue next. Now, I read you guys what Superhead said about him. I read you where, he had told Exhibit, watch out, she'll have you film with a finger up your. But also in that book, Confessions of a Video Vixen, she details that Puffy had her come over, and according to her in the book, they had consensual, now this is according to Superhead. They had consensual, but you never know what could come out of this later. But yeah. Y'all know I know that book cover to cover. At Wells, plaintiff group began to feel more comfortable as her and Combs engaged in conversation over food and drinks. Let me take this one off. Later in the evening, plaintiff had to utilize the restroom and left her drink unattended. Combs indicated he did not want the day to end and asked plaintiff to join him doing some errands he had to run around the city. While driving with Combs in his car, Combs produced a blunt and asked plaintiff to take a hit. Plaintiff politely declined, but Combs was insistent that plaintiff should roll with him and promised to have her home at a decent time so she could study. Does that sound familiar, y'all? Because he allegedly did the same thing to Cassie. Remember, as soon as she got in the car, he handed her a pill that she had never seen before. Feeling pressured, plaintiff reluctantly took a hit of the blunt. From that point on, plaintiff's memory is incomplete. Plaintiff recalls Combs bringing her to a music studio, and when she attempted to exit the car, her legs felt rubbery and she was unable to stand. Plaintiff next recalls being outside of a residence where it seems Combs was living, except he rang the doorbell. A man who was an acquaintance of both plaintiff and Combs answered the door. Plaintiff recalls that being odd, as she believed, perhaps mistakenly, that it was Combs' home. While in the home, Combs assaulted plaintiff. Plaintiff recalls feeling humiliated and hurt, yet she could not escape the assault. Because she had been drugged, plaintiff lacked the physical ability or mental capacity to fend Combs off. The next day, plaintiff's area hurt in a way that she had never experienced from any prior consensual encounters. Feeling confusion, pain, embarrassment, and shame, plaintiff did not go to the hospital or report the result to the police and sought refuge in her apartment, avoiding any outside contact. The next day, plaintiff broke down and tearfully recalled Combs' assault to her best friend. Shortly thereafter, Devontae Swing, a member of the group Jodeci, told plaintiff that Combs had filmed himself assaulting plaintiff and had shown the video to Swing and others while working in the studio. Now, typically, I would be like, well, how I get into this? I would play this.
So now why am I in it? And you could have did it.
See how I get wrong because you never apologized.
Sir, you're in it because you actually had the balls to tell this woman that you knew, but you didn't have the balls to say anything, do anything, stop it. Okay. Plaintiff asked Swing who had seen the video, and he replied, everyone. Plaintiff was mortified as she learned that Combs had filmed the assault and knew it would haunt her for the rest of her life and career. Now, y'all, think about this. This was 1991, so there was no little small handheld cameras, right? So it would make sense that if these allegations are true, which I believe, but they are allegations, then she would have had to have been kind of out of it not to see this really large camera, right? Because the cameras were big back then. There was no handheld. There was no real secret recording devices and things like that that people could readily get. So, yeah. Just hold that in your mind. Swing told plaintiff that he wanted to speak up against Combs, but he was fearful that the band would lose their record deal. Jodeci was in the midst of recording their studio album, Forever a Lady, for which Combs was doing A&R. Now, I love that song, Forever My Lady. I think the first time I actually heard it or can remember it was Shanae singing it on Martin to Kid from Kid and Play. I love the song, but now it's kind of like, Okay. In the coming weeks, plaintiff did her best to pull herself together so she could return to Syracuse. Again, these are character witnesses. So if Diddy does not settle with this lady relatively quickly and she takes it to trial like she wants, she can pull all these people. She can pull everybody from Jodeci. She can pull Sister Soldier. In the coming weeks, plaintiff did her best to pull herself together so she could return to Syracuse University. Despite this, plaintiff experienced traumatic flashbacks of the assault, extreme sleeplessness for days on end, social withdrawal, and would recoil at even the most basic physical touch. Plaintiff felt physically unable to leave her dorm at Haven Hall, thus she was frequently absent from her class. Now, this was one other thing. I'm thinking about this now. She says that she thought that this was Diddy's house, but it was actually the house of it was the house of someone that she and Diddy both knew, but she does not name them in the lawsuit. Let's go back to that. Plaintiff next recalls being outside of a residence where it seems Combs was living, except he rang the doorbell. A man who was an acquaintance of both the plaintiff and Combs answered the door. Plaintiff recalls being odd as she believed perhaps mistakenly that it was Combs' home. So I wonder why she doesn't name that the person whose house. Did y'all pick up on that? That's weird why she doesn't name that person. Okay. Despite this, plaintiff experienced traumatic flashbacks to the assault, extreme sleeplessness for days on end, social withdrawal, and would recoil at even the most basic physical touch. Plaintiff felt physically unable to leave her dorm at Haven Hall, thus she was frequently absent from her classes. Plaintiff also had an inability to focus and concentrate as her mind constantly replayed the assault, leading her grades to plummet. Plaintiff's mother grew so concerned with plaintiff's sudden downturn in her emotional state and her repeated assertions that she no longer wanted to live. Thus, plaintiff's mother instructed her to go to the emergency room. Plaintiff was admitted to a psychiatric unit to treat her emotional trauma, and her physicians diagnosed her as experiencing clinical depression. This is absolutely horrible. Like, this is absolutely horrible. Like your whole something which is probably insignificant to Puffy, allegedly, changed the course of this woman's whole life. That's horrible. After plaintiff was discharged, she continued to experience emotional turmoil as everyday interactions triggered memories of the assault. Plaintiff also became socially isolated as her classmates labeled her crazy as they learned of her admission into a psychiatric unit. As plaintiff began to recover, she desperately sought to hold Combs to account for the crimes he committed against her. Plaintiff's mom told her to contact Pastor Calvin Butts of the historic Abyssinian Church in Harlem, NY. However, Abyssinian Church. Plaintiff felt too ashamed to speak with Pastor Butts, as she worried he would judge her. Plaintiff filed police reports in New York and New Jersey and spoke to several prosecutors hoping to press charges. Members of law enforcement told plaintiff that her allegations would need to be corroborated by witnesses and others who had experienced similar assaults. So this was 1991, and people apparently were not about victims back then. If someone is saying that they were taken advantage of, and law enforcement is telling you that somebody else had to have come forward too, do you know how or what that would do to a victim? Not only are you basically saying you don't believe me, you're saying that multiple people have to corroborate. I have to go out and find other people. No. Thank you for the super chat, California girl. I appreciate you. Y'all. Plaintiff also approached various friends, acquaintances, and colleagues to assist her in locating the revenge tape. Colleagues told plaintiff that they were terrified that Combs would retaliate against them and that they would lose future business and music opportunities if they made a statement in support of plaintiff, as Combs' star was on the rise in the 90s. Combs had experienced great success with the launch of the career of the Notorious B.I.G., whose hit single Juicy had charted on Billboard, my favorite rapper. Some potential witnesses were afraid of Combs' wrath as he was known to be violent. Now, y'all, I told you guys we were gonna bring this back up.
When I was man, DJ, give me the thing, man. I'm loved now, y'all. So you know, back in the day, somebody may got thrown out the window for that shit, but not no more. I just handle it with grace. Yeah. So,
and that's in Puffy's own words. That's in Puffy's own words. Some potential witnesses were afraid of Combs' wrath as he was known to be violent, while others declined because they feared they would not be invited to his future parties and events. So some of these people that were her friends, who knows, they could have been doing the same thing. They could have been just like Aaron Hall, well-endowed, dark-skinned black men who like to just, like in Aaron's own words, which we'll get to, he just likes to pull women into rooms. Despite her emotional pain, plaintiff continued to work in the music industry and began working for Stress Management, a DJ management company that represented DJ Funkmaster Flex and others. At Stress Management, plaintiff's supervisor was Jessica Rosenblum, who was known for creating Mecca, a party series where many of New York's hip-hop legends performed. Plaintiff helped promote Rosenblum's party and also acted as a personal assistant by completing any errands she had. One night, plaintiff was working at one of Rosenblum's parties when she unfortunately ran into Combs and did her best to avoid talking with him. Despite plaintiff's efforts, Combs backed plaintiff into a corner and inappropriately confronted her in public. Combs dramatically got down on knees before insisting that he wanted her to believe him when he said he did not do what she was saying. Now, I'll show you guys on another video, but he still does this today. He gets on his knees and does these performative, whatever you want to call them, for Carisha. And I'm telling you guys, it seems very heightened. You are 50-something, a billionaire, and you are running, jumping, doing the Diddy dance, getting on your knees, praising, like, it seems like it's a little heightened. But that's just my opinion, and I'm going to leave it at that because I'm not trying to get in trouble here. But Rosenblum noticed Combs' odd behavior and asked why he was begging for her forgiveness. Plaintiff merely told Rosenblum that Combs had wronged her, as she was afraid of divulging more, as Rosenblum often worked with Diddy. So we have another character witness, somebody who can testify that Diddy was on his knees. And this was after she filed the police report. After working for Stress Management, plaintiff began writing music video treatments. However, plaintiff realized that she could not continue to work in the music industry as Combs' star continued to rise and his presence was inescapable. Plaintiff decided to try her hand at screenwriting and ended up moving to California, moving thousands of miles from the location of the assault. Plaintiff had always wanted to work at a record label, but she knew that dream had cratered as Combs continued to garner multi-platinum albums and win Grammys. Now, y'all, all these things are important. The stress caused her to drop out of school. Pay me for my pain. You made me lose my job, embarrass me in front of my boss. Pay me for my pain. Embarrassment at school, where now I'm now leaving Syracuse so she can prove that her grades were good up until this assault. That all goes into future earnings that this man has cost her, allegedly. Y'all. Beatrice, thanks. As much as I wish this all wasn't true, I feel sick. I love P. Diddy. I'm just sick. Thank you for the super chat, Beatrice. Some of the other people that are coming out, you know, I don't put anything past anybody. But Diddy, in my opinion, I believe it all. Now, these are just allegations. It's important to say that Diddy has denied all of these allegations. But what I want people to kind of take solace in is the fact that victims now feel safe enough to come forward. It's not much to take solace in, but it does mean that we are moving to a place where no means no. And if you bypass no means no and keep going, you can and will be held accountable. Some people might get off, but I do think that that is one small thing to take solace in. Victims are now comfortable to come forward. And we just saw in 1991, they were like, you need to have other instances of assault for us to believe you. Thank you, Beatrice. And my sweet Nana, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. So let's continue. Plaintiff has spent years trying to recover from emotional trauma as she experienced at Combs' hands. During the panini, plaintiff spent hours rereading her journals and digitizing them. However, she felt physically ill once she reached the time period in which she met Combs. Plaintiff could not stomach continuing with the project. It was the filing of the lawsuit about his abuse of Cassie Ventura on November 16, 2023, that forced her to face his assault again. After reading about the lawsuit, plaintiff spoke to an ex-boyfriend for the first time in years after reading Ms. Ventura's lawsuit. During their conversation, plaintiff's ex recalled how she would become physically ill and recoil every time Combs' music was played or his name was mentioned. Still hoping for justice, plaintiff brings this case against Combs now. While many years have passed, Combs' illegal conduct has cast a shadow over her life. Years later, plaintiff has continued to see mental health providers who have aided her in recovery and treated her PTSD. Again, if she has shared, if she has shared why she has these issues with PTSD and her mental health has been, she has struggled with her mental health because of this alleged assault, then those will be other documented instances. She can pull in her therapist to come in and say, this is what she has been saying. Tanisha, I see another super sticker. Tanisha, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. So yeah, I really do hope that any of these people, if this goes to trial, which I highly doubt Puffy will let this go to trial, especially since she filed the police report way back when, and she has these witnesses. I highly doubt he's going to be dumb enough to let this go to trial. But if he does, I hope she gets 100 million too. I don't know if Cassie got 100 million, but I'm hoping that they, bleed him dry. Okay. Years later, tragically, despite several attempts, plaintiff has not been able to finish her college degree as her subconscious associates her studies with the assault. Combs' conduct forever changed the trajectory of her career, denying her what might have been a lucrative and successful career in the music industry. Plaintiff is confident she can prove her case, though, through at least a dozen witnesses to testify to her severe emotional distress and harm that she experienced after the assault. So the first cause, assault and battery under the New York Common Act. We're not going to read it, but I'm just going to kind of go over because we have two of these. Intentional infliction of emotional distress under the New York Common Law. Sex trafficking under the New York Survivors for Victims of Human Trafficking Law. Revenge P. We're going to get into this. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation made in the above paragraph. Plaintiff was depicted in a video image in which Combs engaged in contact with her as defined under the penal law. Plaintiff's body was unclothed of her inmate. I think they meant intimate parts were exposed. Plaintiff did not consent to the depiction as she was mentally incapacitated, as plaintiff was rendered temporarily incapable of consenting to contact, as defendant Combs administered to her a narcotic or intoxicating substance without her consent. Now, I do think that Diddy might come back specifically at that, because she says that he gave her a blunt and she feels it was laced because certain parts of her memory are gone. I don't think it's even going to get that far, though. Diddy might contest some of these things, but I do feel like he's going to settle with her because there's too many people who knew about this. If she can pull all of Jodeci into this and Sister Soldier, her best friend, her mother, her therapists, I think that Diddy will settle with her. Honestly, I do. I think that maybe he might have tried to poke holes in some of the things, but this woman knows dates, times, she journaled it, all those things. Did he just settle with this one? Did he do better? I almost wish that somebody would file criminal charges against him. The attorney that we had on here to kind of break down the Cassie case said that someone still can file criminal charges against Diddy. So I'm hoping that comes. Guys, I have been up. We got 800 likes. We got 3,200 watching. Please hit that like button. It's a free way to support the channel, and they have been demonetizing these videos because of the subject matter. So it's a free way to support the channel, and I'm going to keep following this case for you guys. So thank you for that. Jonay Shelton says, thank you for reporting on this. It really helps SA survivors heal. Anybody who's been impacted by this, who feels like they need to come forward, hopefully this gives them a sense of security to come forward, that they won't be retaliated against, and that people will just hear their situation and know that as a survivor, you can come forward. It's not the end of your life. There's nothing that you did wrong in these situations. It is the person that did this to you. There's no reason to be ashamed, but we do know that certain survivors do feel ashamed, like maybe it was their fault. It's never your fault. But okay, let's continue. Plaintiff was mentally incapacitated as plaintiff was rendered temporarily incapable of consenting to being featured in an intimate visual depiction, as defendant Combs administered her a narcotic or intoxicating substance without her consent. As Combs administered to plaintiff a narcotic or intoxicating substance without her consent, Combs knowingly, willfully, and recklessly disregarded that plaintiff did not consent to the intimate visual depiction. Fourth cause of action, the NYC Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. Fifth cause of action, Revenge P. We're not going to go over that because we are going to get into Aaron Hall. There's a whole nother case. So this was a woman who did give her name. We went over the whole thing. Her name is Joy Dickerson Neal. So let's move on to Aaron Hall. Before we get into Aaron Hall has done a series of interviews that is really disgusting. He likens himself to a pimp. He gets like big up by Don Juan. I cannot show you the picture because Vlad don't play, but I will let you hear what he said. And keep in mind, right now he's talking about Gloria Velez, who allegedly was 16 at the time that he is depicting what happened. So again, trigger warning, y'all, because it's if you don't know him, if you're just coming in, Aaron Hall is what I'm thinking might be what he lit the match to the reason that Diddy had Cassie wearing white nails and looking for dark complected men with big D's. Aaron Hall consistently talks about the fact that he has a big D and he is darker complected. And he admitted that Diddy watched him in an intimate moment. So we'll get into all this, but I want to first set the scene. What he is talking about is allegedly 16-year-old Gloria Velez. So let me put this picture up. This is what he looks like now.
So with Luke, you know, I didn't know she was a puppy. You know what I mean? That's right. She was tall. She was big, blonde hair, bone with the black pant leather. I was like, I'm getting that. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows I couldn't even really speak then. I had a speech impediment. I don't stutter anymore. Mm-hmm. So I just went there and just grabbed her hand and went inside the hotel and gave it to her. Went there and just grabbed her hand. I don't stutter anymore. Mm-hmm. So I just went there and just grabbed her hand and went inside the hotel and gave it to her.
He said right then at the very beginning of this, I didn't know she was a puppy. Thank you, just simply. Trigger warning. I've been saying it throughout. So that kind of sets the tone, right? I want you guys to hear this. Now, this dude speaks at like a 3rd grade level, but every other word is a curse word. So they've already been demonetizing my video, so I can't let you hear all of it. I'll just let you hear this part.
Like you speak to Jodeci or Puffy or any of them niggas. They've been at my house. They all see.
He was about to say, they've all seen me F. So that's in his own words. Before we get into this lawsuit, it was super important to hear in his own words that Puffy and them have all seen him F. So put it together, y'all. He's looking. This was very, very early in his career when Aaron Hall was the star. Aaron Hall was the one who was actually in records with Heavy D. Puffy was just like an assistant. Puffy was just like the hype man to set up parties and stuff like that. But you have this major celebrity who is, if it's consensual, that's one thing. But allegedly, his baby mama, Gloria Velez, was only 16. So you do the math with that. I think we had one more. And this is Teddy Riley talking about the situation.
What you see is what you get.
The question was about, he showed Teddy Riley the video of Aaron Hall talking about everything, talking about how he just used to F and how he made sure that he would just grab the girls and pull them up and how he was so well endowed. And if you can't take his D, that's your business. Like, this is the kind of conversations he had, while Bishop Don Juan is like, yep, like, it's straight up pimp talk. But it sets the tone for allegedly what Diddy has done now throughout his career. I want to see women that I'm with get effed by Big Black D. I want to see the contrast of their white fingernails to Big Black D. And I want to watch. It just sets a tone. It sets a disgusting tone. But this is what Teddy Riley had to say.
And you know, I like when we were together, every time he goes into that mode, I crumble. I'm like, I turn my head. I feel embarrassing sometimes. You know, I feel embarrassed, and it's like, if we're gonna be on this tour, and I'm gonna set the record straight and say, be 100 about this. If we're going to move forward on going on this tour, things have to change. You know, I'm older now. And we all are older now. It's like, we have to be the example. We have to set, you know, we're a big group. But how could you be a big group and talk or act in that manner? You know what I'm saying? Some have to give. And I feel like if Charlie Wilson, who went through heck and hell and came back all the way to be on top, Aaron Hall can be back on top.
Didn't you guys reunite after that?
So that's in Teddy Riley's own words. He was talking specifically about the interview that Aaron Hall gave with Vlad TV, where he admitted to all of these things. He said, what you see is what you get. Work in Progress says, I've been waiting for an APAC of Me Too to reach the urban hip hop community. I'm surprised there hasn't been more since the disrespect of women has been a part of the culture for so long. You know, all things come in their time, and nobody can hide indefinitely. Your money can do a lot, but you can't hide indefinitely. So let's get into the lawsuit. Kind of creepy though, right? Like, this is one of those things where your words haunt you. Okay. This one is Jane Doe against Sean Combs, Aaron Hall, MCA, Geffen Records, and Jane Doe's 1 through 10, ABC Corp's 1 through 10. Plaintiff Jane Doe files this complaint for damages and other relief under the Trafficking Victim Protection. The cause of the action is timely, and we're talking about the New York Survivors Act. Jane Doe is a United citizen and was at all relevant times a resident of and domiciled the state of North Carolina. Combs is a United States citizen and was at all relevant times a resident and domiciled in the state of New York. Hall is a United States citizen and was at all relevant times a resident of the domicile in the state of New York. MCA, global music company headquartered in California. Okay. Jurisdiction and venue. The court has the jurisdiction, the transaction of any business state within. Summary of factual accusations. Now, guys, we got about 4,000 in the chat. We are actually on the road to, it looks like 85,000 straight shooters now. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We do a lot more than just this, but I told you that I would definitely follow this story and bring you news and give you the actual facts. I'm not just pulling from, you know, a reporter or some, you know, blog that might have connections to Diddy and is scared, so they kind of water things down. Somebody was like, why do you show the actual documents? I show the actual documents because I've been doing this now for about over a year. I want you guys to see in writing what's going down. So that's why I spend the money. I have a private investigator to pull certain things. I pull certain things. I want you all to see it in writing, and I want you to see it in the victim stance, not from a newspaper that could technically, you know, have connections to Puffy or any of these people. So yeah, that's why I do it. We have about 4,000 in here. We got about 1,000 likes. These videos are being demonetized. So liking the video is a free way to support it, and it lets YouTube know that we are here and we're doing this. So please like the video. I appreciate it. Let's get into it. Upon information and belief, on or about 1990 or 91, Jane Doe was in NYC with a friend. Jane Doe and her friend met Combs and Hall at the offices of MCA Records for an event hosted by MCA Records. Combs and Hall were very flirtatious and handsy with Jane Doe and her friend, offering them drinks throughout the night. The last person just said the same thing. Offered drugs and liquor. Towards the end of the night, Jane Doe and her friend were invited by Combs and Hall back to Hall's apartment for an after party. While at Hall's apartment, Jane Doe was offered more drinks and was coerced into, you know, having intercourse with Combs. After Combs finished doing his business, Jane Doe laid in bed, shocked and traumatized. As she was in the process of getting dressed, Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and forced Jane Doe to have, you know, intercourse with him. After Hall finished, I can't say the R word, but R-wording Jane Doe, she quickly got dressed and ran out of Hall's house. Her friend left shortly after. Now, guys, I want you guys remember to hear in his own words what Hall would do. Let's see. In his own words.
You know, she was a puppy. You know what I mean? Right. She was tall. She was big, blonde hair, bone with the black pant leather. I was like, I'm getting that. Everybody knows I couldn't even really speak then. I had a speech impediment. I don't stutter anymore. So I just went there and just grabbed her hand and went inside the hotel and gave it to her.
That's in his own words, y'all. So it sets the precedent. Sorry. After Hall finished R-wording Jane Doe, she quickly got dressed and ran out of Hall's house. Her friend left shortly after. Jane Doe's friend shared with her that she too had been forced to have intercourse with Combs and Hall in another room. Upon information and belief, when Combs finished with Jane Doe, he and Hall switched, and they commenced assaulting Jane's friend. That's where the whole gang R word comes in. A couple of days later, Combs came to the home where Jane Doe and her friend were staying. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Jane Doe to the point that she passed out. Combs was searching for Jane Doe's friend because he was worried that she would tell the girl he was with at the time what he and Hall had done. So I'm assuming the girl was Misa, his baby mama, at that point, because that was early 90s. It's a lot, y'all. Brenda, let's see. Thank you so much for the super chat, Brenda. Thank you, Mims. No, thank you guys for being here and choosing to spend time with me. The support for coming out with these women, it means a lot. When I see the support for these women or men or whomever is the victim of the assault, it means a lot to me because it means that the world is changing and we're viewing things a little differently and people can't just get away with things. So I appreciate you guys soldiering through and going through these with me. Damages. After this incident, Jane Doe informed her close friends and family about whatever had occurred. So she's setting the stage that she has witnesses. Over the years, she sought medical treatment to heal from the trauma visited on her by Combs and Hall. So if she sought treatment through a therapy, psychiatry, again, it's establishing that she can pull those records, especially if she named them in the records. Battery. Defendants battery against Jane Doe when they penetrated Jane Doe and physically assaulted her against her will. Defendants intentionally and without her consent attacked Jane Doe to satisfy their desires. Defendants' physical contact with Jane Doe was offensive and wrongful under all circumstances. The defendants' actions constitute offenses as defined, and we're not going to go into that. The second cause of action, assault, sexual assault. Defendants forcibly touched and attempted to and treated to touch plaintiff's intimate areas or touch with his own intimate body parts. As a result, defendant's conduct, plaintiff suffered and continues to suffer harm, including physical injury, severe emotional distress, humiliation, anxiety, and other consequential damages for which she is entitled to an award of monetary damages and other relief. I think Diddy might just settle with all of them. I think Diddy might just settle with each one of these victims, especially if they can show that they had a therapist who knew about this, other celebrities who knew about this. If these tapes come up, I think Diddy's done, y'all. Negligent infliction of emotional distress, prayer for relief. Plaintiff prays that the court enter judgment in her favor against defendants containing the following relief: a declaratory judgment that the actions, conduct, and practices of defendants complained of herein violate the laws of the state of New York. An award of damages against defendant in an amount to be determined at trial, plus prejudgment interest to compensate plaintiff for all the monetary and or economic damages, including but not limited to loss of past and future income, wages, compensation, seniority, and other benefits of employment. An award of damages against defendant in an amount to be determined at trial, plus prejudgment interest. An award of punitive damages in the amount to be determined at trial. So she's asking for a trial too, which means Diddy would be crazy, in my opinion. Judgment interest on all amounts due. An award of costs that plaintiff has incurred in this action, including but not limited to expert witness fees, as well as plaintiff's reasonable attorney's fees and costs to the fullest extent permitted by the law. I really do think that this lady, as well as Joy Dickerson Neal, I think they both have strong cases. Let's see. Oh, we got some super chats. Kimmy Nicole, thank you. I appreciate that, Kimmy. We love you, Mims. Child, please make it make sense. God damn it, this is too much. Like Lorenzo came through putting cases on all you summer bitches. I don't know who the summer bitches are. Who's Lorenzo? I don't know. I don't get it. Put it in the chat. I'll read it. You don't have to do a super chat. Sean L. Fennel, thank you for all you do, Mims. Thank you for the super chat. And Beatrice, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, P. Diddy. I feel a flood of more hip hop artists and high power people being brought forward. Lock them all up. I now have access to almost all of them. The mayor, y'all can let me know if you want me to do like the mayor. There's a lot. But I give you both sides. Like, it's important to state that Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx has now come forward and said that the person who is accusing him actually had filed this same lawsuit years ago, and it was dismissed. So, do I believe the victims? But, it's important to let people know both sides. Jamie is denying all accusations against him, and I have to let you know. Also, Diddy is denying all accusations against him. So let me see if I have that one to pull up. No, but that's okay. I just gave you the breakdown. Jamie Foxx and Diddy have denied all allegations, and Diddy says that even though he settled so quickly with Cassie, that is not an admission of guilt. Mims, give us a tally. It's a lot. It's a lot. And what I might do is not go through all the lawsuits, but give you guys the summary of facts of some of the major people, like the mayor. I saw one today for Donald Trump. They got, I believe, Russell Brand. There's a lot. We'll see. We'll definitely see. LS, I really appreciate the work. Not seeing enough likes, so I'm giving. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, liking is a free way to support the channel. It really is. Virgin Love 8 says, honestly, Mims, they need to go to jail. Well, that's why I had that hotshot attorney. If you guys want the attorney to come back and break down some more of these cases with me, he's already agreed to do so. And when the attorney comes, we actually prefer that you guys have your questions and he'll answer the questions. He's worked with Gayle King. He's been on all the news stations. His name was Dimitri. He broke down the Cassie Ventura one with me. So put in the chat. I read the comments if you want me to bring the attorney back for some of these. We got another super chat. Adrian Wright says, keep up the good work, Mims. I believe every word. This is just awful. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that too. Yeah, I don't want to, like, it's important to say they denied the claims. What's my personal belief? I believe they happened. I believe this stuff happened. And I'm not even going to get into Peter Guns. I'm not even going to do it. Anyway, guys, I got to run. I told my mom we might do some, or maybe I didn't tell her. Maybe I'm surprising her to do some shopping for Black Friday. So anyway, gotta go. Thank you guys for being here. Not only like the video, but subscribe. We are well on the way. I say this, let's shoot big, y'all. We're on the way to 100,000 subscribers. We're technically on the way to 85, but we're on the way to 100. God willing. So thank you guys. Have a great morning. If anything else pops up, I'll be back. And I still got to do my Married to Medicine review. We do a lot more over here than just lawsuits, but have a great day. Hopefully you guys got to spend some time with your family on Thanksgiving. Even if you don't actually believe in Thanksgiving, I hope you got to spend some time with your family, decompressing from all this craziness. I'm going to see y'all later. Have a great day.